Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're going to be taking a look at XG's MASCARA. This is the Dance Practice Fixed version. I've been really enjoying my time with XG so far. Pretty much all of their pre-debut work, as well as I've only seen a couple of their more recent comebacks, but within this marathon I've only seen their debut with Tippy Toes, so this is going to be really cool to see what this has to offer. The title's called MASCARA, so I'm assuming some wordplay in regards to the item that we use for makeup, so we're going to go ahead and check it out.
XG! Ladies!
Oh, cool. Really fun, interactive, captivating. I really love her tone, just in general. Out of a lot of singers, I really like how she sings. Great formation, change choice. Don't let a boy ruin your mascara. Interesting choices on the syncopation. It's fun. Yeah. Love the professionalism on the side, very enjoyable. Yeah. Very clean. Yep. Little Harlem shake it to a butterfly. That was fun. That was fun. Fierce, feminine, tasteful, playful, a little bit of a little spiciness. It's just like they remind me of the Powerpuff Girls, but a little bit spicy, you know? I think it's super fun. Really very much enjoyed that. We're just gonna go ahead from the tippy top here. Love just the setup is really nice. It started immediately. Very impressive by that, because notice a lot of times people don't start right at the beginning of a track, but here, that's freaking impressive, because most of the time you hear a little bit of the tone of the track and then people start moving. That was a really hard thing to hit, which makes it that's impressive. That setup, it really catches you off guard and captivates early. I love that. Love this here with that little reverb. We did notice this situation. I've seen this a couple of times now. I already saw it in Tippy Toes. They did something similar to this. So I think that's kind of fun. That was fun too with the framing. Boom, bleeding it in, shifting it out. Going towards the inside, very clear who they want their feature to be. Ladies, having somebody come in and walk through, which is really nice. Here we go. Really fun how she kicks, and that causes the previous feature to transition. Really smart choice. That little how we doing. Notice that like hit, and then they hit with the ISO, and then they bleed the weight over. Normally you see people hit with the ISO on the hip and as well as move the weight over, but they hit ISO over, and that's what makes that so captivating and hits that timbre well. Love that X on the back and then the G. Super fun. Yeah, never let a mess twice. Okay, spicy stuff. Yeah, I do think they have just a couple of little lip syncing errors here, but honestly, because it's a dance practice, I don't really care as much about it, but it is nice to see them featured. It's very easy to see who is featured. I'm going to take a guess. I think, is this Harvey? Because remember, I'm slowly learning their names. Even though I watch them as individuals, it's still hard to remember names. So forgive me on that, because I mostly look at content over people. So I'm going to take a stab at it. I think this is Harvey, right? And I may take another guess of somebody else, but we'll see. Maybe I'm pushing it, but I think I got one person. Yeah, boom, the cry made you cry. Super fun there. I love how they dip it down, creating this moment and having this transition through the first window. I very much like that. Honestly, they're giving Nike sponsored. Like, it really feels like they're sponsored by Nike, which they should be if they're not already, because they know how to make it work with the aesthetic of the track for sure. I love it. Sporty. The kick there was nice. Boom and boom with a little kick. It wasn't aggressive, but it was really nice and tasteful. Super fun. Deserve it. Love that there. Yep, fix your crown, girl. Yes, ma'am. We go here having the moment there. Boom, boom, boom. Having her here. Very clean. Dun, da, 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 da. Boom. Over right here. That was fun, too, having them do that quick drop, coming back up, then having them all do a little bit of I would call it a dime stop or strobe sequence in comparison to ticking, because we don't see an extra reverb happening. It's very quick and staccato, but not overly reverbed. So I like that a lot. Yeah, and with your feature, she's the only one to kind of hit with the finger, and everybody else really used the whole hand. So I like that choice. Look at the range here, just very baby, minuscule angle discrepancies. This is still very impressive. Yeah, boom, da 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 da. Yeah, do 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 do. It has this very doll-like appearance about it, but it's still very it gives rebellious teen school girl, or I'm gonna be a Barbie but on my terms, kind of gives off that vibe, which I think it's still super fun. It's fun. That was good on the build out. So they brought it in, and then they slowly brought it back out, it's called an add-on, but I really like that they had this moment here, and then they propelled it out, and it's still very clean, and it just felt very seamless. I'm a fan of that. Very clean formation transition from those who are on the side, bringing it back to the center. And I love that they have this accent on the back while she holds a little pantomimed mirror up. That was fun. Little mascara. Yeah, it's my party. I can cry if I want to. That reminds me of Melanie Martinez. It's my party. I'll cry if I want to. But I know that was probably sampled from somebody earlier. So I do know that music a lot of times placates and they sample from each other. But I like that. I think it's fun. That was fun too. Cry if I want. Boom, boom. Instead of going 1, 2, they go boom, boom. Hit that bass on the back. Love it. Great musicality choices. That was fun too. Notice that they're sitting with their weight. They're taking their lower back and they're placing their weight more laid back. But they have that arch happening in the lower back, and that's what helps make that feminine, stoic posture while having a lot going on in the lower body. That was cool. Yeah, this my party. I'll cry. That was cool. So they're writing not common, but they're writing the bases similarly on both sets of the phrases. But what's nice though is that they do make different choices, which still makes it captivating and fun. Yeah, don't mess with my mascara, bringing it down on the build. So they're building that music and they build up the energy, make it a little bit more full than what we saw before. Now, them having a moment of just kind of standing there being attentive. I've mentioned this before a couple of times where you're very stoic, you're still, and that's something that I think they do a very good job of, is whenever it is not their time, even if they're on stage, they're holding it down so well. And whenever there's a feature being featured, they contribute by framing, but being, you know, not drawing attention to them when it's not necessary. So that's a really big A+, and for me that I would consider a fingerprint of the overall aesthetic of XG, is their ability to be so still when they need to be. Even when they're on the side, they're pulling some really good professionalism of being mindful of, even though they're still on camera and they're off stage, they still know they have to, they're really wanting to carry the entire tone of their posture 150% of the way. And I love that. Having her go through, it was nice for them to frame her. Love that. And also having them all kind of have their moment with her. They're a little featured as well while keeping her featured. But now we have everybody here and set up as like their own little group. And now we have a group of 3, framing it really well. Boom. And then she throws her arms to help naturally get them to come off of her arms. Now we have our girls over here set up the choreography, having them join. So that's just more of a formation structure I'm noticing from those that are on the team for this group. Love that little swip down and swipe over to the other side. It's tasteful, but not overly sensual. I'm a fan of that because a lot of them are underage, and so that would be a big thing. I would say, gotta be careful. They do a good job of being spicy and spunky without being too much, and I love that. That was a cute little moment. Da, 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 da. Nice, and then they grab interlock hands. Great job on the overcross. So sometimes people don't think about how much you do need to overcross. Notice the spacing's just slightly different, but notice their heights are slightly different too. And their arm ranges are different. I think it's really good that they did it. They did a great job on making sure everybody crossed over, at least with their step. They're within the same line. Of course, some of them turn a little out, a little in, but those are natural human things that happen. And these are very minor discrepancies in the spacing of their feet. Very impressive. Everyone's on the same page in how they're walking. I love that goes boom and boom, little elegant bird-like transition there with the wings. It's fun. That was great. And they look with the head, and I love that they allowed her a moment to break off, and it was tasteful. And this is the beauty of odd groups, because you have beautiful symmetry with your feature, and you can do stuff like this, and it's just no one's covered up. Everyone's featured equally, but of course you have your more prominent feature near the front. Yeah, no, we don't deserve it. Really great. Simple. Boom. Sometimes the head is enough. And go bringing it through. Love the energy there of having different, everybody facing different directions, except for your feature going a completely different direction than everybody else. Everybody building to where they need to go. Love that energy when they're transitioning, they face each other and have that moment of the frame. It's just different. It's exciting, you know, and then they go back into their little groupings, having the shifting and a circular motion, and then having them switch is a really great transition. It builds without them having to stay in one place or go or transition typically. Like, they're making extra concessions on getting people into different spots, but it makes sense because of the symmetry of that taking place. And the range of the transition is around the same too. Impressive. Yeah, da-da-da with that bass. Boom, that kind of bass drops out. They drop down. Really great on the word, on the tone play, I would put it. Yeah, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It was just fun. They face the back. So it's the same choreography, but different formation, which is why it looks different. I like it. Walking through. And that was impressive because notice everybody was here. Same angle. Doom, doom, doom. And then they go through. Everyone matches the same level of energy in their performance as well. That's something important to note. And it's always enjoyable to see. Yeah, that was a great add-on, having it from the 2 and then having the 2 there. I think what ended up happening with this add-on, I think it was just slightly off on our second to last group. One of them dropped a little bit too early. And that's just something I caught note of because the other 2 set it up really, really well. And then our last one joined in great. It was nice to have them go do, 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 do. That was a great transition. Nice little accent of the back while they are transitioning. They're not just walking. I love the little tasteful tidbits of movements that we're seeing, because it feels very complete, and it feels very thoughtful and thorough. And so I like it. I really like this. Cry if I want to. I go, this my party, I'll cry. So it's good that we're switching up the groove, because the track, phrasing, and the rhythm, even though we've already heard it, it is different than the rest of the chorus. And so it is cool to see the groove change, and we see the energy change. And that's sometimes you'd be surprised. There's some groups that they kind of translate their energy all the way across the board, and there's no ebb and flow of it. And that's why sometimes even the most incredibly captivating performances, or not captivating but energetic performances, can come across a bit stagnant sometimes. And it's not because of the energy, it's because we don't have any digested sections that we can really intake effectively and have breather moments. So they're doing a very good job interpreting the choreography well. That cry when I want to, really great usage of the shoulder. And having her, even though they're walking, having my feature have that small little moment of switching my mascara. It's great. The fact that she brought her arms up, easy for us to know who our feature was. This was really clean. Having them drop, da-da-da, and swing. Really, really nice kind of elevator effect there. And very much a fan of that. And that's what makes that section look different than the first time, because everybody was standing that first time they did that. But here, they dropped, and now we have levels represented, and that's a great way of not having to change your choreo, but still make it effective and captivating and different than what you had already done earlier. That's nice, that boom, boom, boom. And I think it's because they're hitting a lot of these angles is what makes me feel very Barbie-like and doll-like. And a lot of times we associate makeup or how you carry yourself or having the stoicness about yourself to Barbie or to dolls. So I think that there's a little bit of that kind of context here. Probably not in a rebellious sense, but I would say in a, we're not, I'm not your Barbie doll. I'm the one in control here. It's like that, more like that independent Barbie vibes, more so than the submissive Barbie vibes. Is what it gives me. Barbie 2023 is what it gives. I like it though. It's cool that they go boom, 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 and then they use their ribs there to help, not just the arms. So I think that's fun. Yep, that down. I think my one note is that I really felt like it was a bit restricted and isolated in the upper body there when they dropped down to the hips. So that'll be my one note, to at least set up your legs a little bit further apart so you can really dig into that position on this side. But so far, that's one of my only really main notes. Everything else is very impressive. That whole side, very professional. Definitely a fan. I love how she took her and brought her around as a great way to transition the formation. That was great. She took her and then she brought her arm over. It helped frame from what we saw earlier. So that was a nice little moment that we had there. Dipping down. So that's my same note. Some of them didn't really dive in as much as they could have, and that's why that part didn't look as clean. But it's still very clean. That's a very minor detail. Yeah. Doom, 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 doom. Yes. Yeah, that boom, 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 boom. Here we go. Breaking it down. That was great. Ding, 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 ding. Great example of everybody being on the same page of how far their head is going to move. Love it. Love it, love it. I love that here. She takes her hands. She's the only one, our feature in the front. She's the only one who takes her hands. Everybody else uses their body. Great way for us to naturally see your center. Just because she's in the center doesn't mean they want us to focus on her. She made the choices which naturally helped us make sure and affirm that she is the one that is featured in that section, not just because her mouth is moving. She does a great job of boom, da 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 boom, da da. So keeping in unison with all other facets of her body, but really doing a good job of making sure that she's using her hands to still maintain captivation for her role as the feature, even though they're all on the same line, level. Because sometimes you can forget who is featured unless their mouth's moving. And I've already mentioned this before. In choreography, you want it to be clear who your feature is. They don't have to be the one singing for you to realize that. That's really fun. I love that. Boom. And they built it out. That was fun. Now this was nice too, that we had them have a moment and just have one of them, Harvey I think, have that moment and then joining back in with my two in the front. This was framed really nice. I love the legato tension happening here. It just adds a really nice depth to choreo that feels very familiar to us now. It just adds, it naturally actually feels more full compared to when we see all of them do it, because we're not used to seeing this choreography done with that kind of layer in place. Normally they're still, or they're doing something around a similar vein when they hit this. So this was a great choice to finish out the choreo. Now having everybody do it, that was a nice little moment right there. It does remind me of this move that they did in move number 3 and 1, but it was just more isolated. So I think that was just a fun little groove. That range on that swing was chef's kiss crispy. It was really nice. But I will say though, how they're coming down, some of them still have their arms slightly up, some have it actually touching their head. Very, very small discrepancy, but having that swing was so powerful. I loved it. Love that. Want to. She said, cry if I want to. And everybody else, just typical choreo. Yep. Sides, the people in the front having their arms out was a great choice compared to those who had it up. Great usage of their levels without having to really shift the levels of the bodies as much. That was fun too. They go down, have a moment, mascara, pulls the energy in, and then they branch it back out. Great usage of their presence and performance. This is really nice. This part right here was really nice. So it goes step and very stagnant, not stagnant, but like very staccato Harlem. And then they go 1, 2, and they drop down into a butterfly almost, which I really love. Having your feature the only one that uses her hips, everybody else uses their legs mostly. To finish it out on the end, cry when I want, have that moment, cry if I want to. Having their hands touch each other. And I love it makes my mascara. And notice, every time I've seen them perform, they don't look tired. Now, this choreography is going to be more mental, as well as the trickiest part is making sure you're on the same page with everybody else. The beauty of this is the refinement of everybody doing the same angle, doing the same dynamic, those things of that nature. I'm definitely a fan of their synchronicity because it's not just clean for the sake of being clean. Their dynamics and interruptions of textures really help enhance this and make it spunky or provide extra performance or individuality. Because I mentioned this a couple times in some of my other videos of groups I've been reacting to at this time. There is a difference between people sometimes can confuse individuality. You have to separate from synchronicity in order to showcase individuality, but there's a way to have a happy medium of both. It is tricky and it takes a long time, and it just takes a long time of getting in sync with those that you are working with. That's why when you have veteran groups or crews work together, like there's certain dance groups that I work with that have been dancing together since they were 5, 6 years old on a competitive circuit, and then now that they're 15, 16, there's such a camaraderie or natural movement quality that they all exude that sometimes you don't have to clean the texture as much as you have to clean the timing, because they've worked together and their bodies are ingrained with very similar life experiences, which is what I'm kind of getting from here. And I know that they have a very strong team as well. So I think that they have a lot going for them, or they kind of are trained very effectively where they're all getting exposed to very similar, I mean, of course, they all showcase different styles that showcased who they were as individuals, but knowing that the common denominator is how they choose to execute their dynamics, there's very minimal discrepancies, but we're able to see the performance here, as well as how they have their feature moment. It's still tasteful, collaborative to the rest of the choreography, and not just, we're doing choreo for the sake of doing it. It feels appropriate to the track that they're given, and it feels like they are invested in the track themselves, which was what makes me invested in them, you know? So I think that's my overall note. There is individuality here. It's just a little bit more subtle because some of the crispness of the choreo is more of the forefront here. But I really, really like this. And they finish nice and zipped up, just like how they started, very reverbed, but here very stiff, but like in a air sucked out of the room way. So this was freaking cool. It's cool and composed, and it feels very well rehearsed, and it feels very invested in, and I'm definitely a fan of that. And it's not really a surprise to me. It's very enjoyable, and I like this a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more XG, I have so much of it all over Patreon. If you notice that there's a couple dance practices that are missing on YouTube at the time that this is posted on YouTube, chances are not everything is technically released, because how I do these is for every comeback XG does, I release a couple of my older reactions to a marathon that I took just so I can play catch up and really understand the full context of this group and their training and what they've already brought to the table conceptually, so it helps me refine and be better at analyzing the more recent work. So if you, like I said, if you want to see more XG or K-pop in general, I have that on Patreon. If you don't quite see something you're looking for on YouTube, I try to have a wide range of K-pop dance content, whether it's battles or from the West Coast, East Coast of the US to China, Japan, and Korea, things of the like, and I'm always excited to dive into discussions either on Patreon or YouTube, and this video is of no difference. I am Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye!